Now, in solving this problem, I can really do it a couple ways because this is the one where you can do the quadratic formula or avoid it. So I think when I did it last time in class, I did the quad. Did I do it both ways? Okay. So I'll just do it. I'm going to use the quadratic formula. So it says, first thing is, how long will it take a stone? So how long will it take? The time is the unknown. To fall 140 meters. So if I'm falling 140 meters, then my displacement is negative 140. All right? From a bridge, if it is thrown down with an initial speed of 16 meters per second, so the initial speed is the same as the original velocity, and if I'm throwing it down, I capitalize the word down to hopefully help remind you that the sign has to be negative. And then the acceleration, as soon as the stone leaves the person's hand, it's going to be affected by gravity, and gravity accelerates things down at negative 9.8 meters per second squared. So those are your facts. If those are the facts, then step 2 is to pick the correct equation. So the correct equation is S equals VOT plus 1/2 AT squared. The only fact I did not write down was final velocity, and that's the only formula that doesn't have final velocity in it. Now, at this point, you'd have 6 out of 10 points. So if you just had what I have on the board, you're only losing -4 on this. Next thing is I want to solve for time. And when I see this formula and time is the unknown, I'm going to be looking at my facts because I'm hoping either VO is 0 or A is 0. If VO is 0, then VOT is 0, and I don't have to use the quadratic formula. If A is 0, then 1/2 AT squared is 0, and I don't have to use the quadratic formula. Unfortunately, in this problem, VO is not 0, and A is not 0, so I don't have a choice. First thing I'm going to do is write this equation in standard form for a quadratic equation. So 1/2 AT squared plus VOT. So both of those are on the same side. I just switched the order. And then I need to bring the S over. So I'm going to get minus S equals 0. And once it looks like that, then I can plug it into the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is, which is on your formula fact sheet also, it's x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of VO squared plus 2AS. I'm sorry, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So it's minus b equals plus or minus b squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So for me, my A is going to be 1/2 the acceleration, my B is going to be VO, and my C is going to be minus S. Now, some people multiply through by 2, which is, that's what I did tell you, that when the equation contains fractions, multiply by the least common denominator. The thing here is, I do know that because of the 4 there, if I leave 1/2 A, I'm going to get a whole number there. And if I put 1/2 acceleration there, I'm also going to get a whole number. So I don't really have to double everything to get rid of fractions. I'll get rid of my fractions just by plugging into the quadratic formula. So notice that our variable is not x, it's t. So continuing with step 3 here, I'm going to get t equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So my b is VO. So I'd put VO there and there. My A is 1/2 the acceleration. So that's going to go there and there. And my C is minus S. Now, those that doubled everything right off the bat to get rid of the fraction, one mistake that I saw for those that did it was the VO was 2VO. but because they didn't put it in parentheses, it just had 2 VO squared, which is not the same thing as parentheses 2 VO close parentheses squared, because that means the 2 has to be squared and the VO has to be squared. And so I probably took off a point if you did that. So I'm going to just neaten this up a little bit. Some people didn't neaten this up. They left it like that, and that was fine. But I like a streamlined final formula. So I'm going to have minus VO plus or minus the square root of VO squared minus times minus is plus. So I'm going to get a plus there. And then I'm going to have half of 4 is 2, so I'll have a 2 there. And the 2 variables left over are the A and the S. So I'll have 2AS over half of 2 is 1, so all over A. So that is the result of step 3. Now just plug in the numbers, and if you're good with your calculator, you'll get the right answer. So minus VO plus or minus the square root of VO squared plus 2AS all over A. And so and the reason why you put the parentheses in first, again, that minus is part of the formula. So this is if the VO happens to be a minus, there'll be a minus also inside the parentheses. This square is part of the formula. If it was on the inside, it would be part of the unit. So that's why you make parentheses for these. So VO is minus 16 meters per second, minus 16 meters per second. The A is minus 9.8 meters per second squared. Goes there and there. And the S is minus 140. So this minus is independent of the, the other stuff in this problem. So if you solve this, and what I suggest you do is start inside the square root and work your way out. We also know time cannot be negative. So notice the bottom is negative. So I can't have the top as positive. So out of these choices, I know that will make this positive. So I know I'm going to have a minus here. And this number better be bigger than 16 in order for me to get a time that makes sense in the problem. And if you worked it out, it came up to be 3.96 seconds.